Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul.
My virtual obsession, my romantic thriller, is now available on Amazon and other online retailers. This book explores the intersection of loneliness, love, and how chasing perfection through technology can lead to fantasy and reality colliding. My virtual obsession out now. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Willow Healing Matters. And today I'm joined by the lovely Soreya James. So she is a modern day yogi with 35 years lived experience in a personal transformation world, having trained with Tony Robbins, Brandon Bays, and Joe Dispenza, as well as with yogis and masters from across the world. Soreya brings across a section of Eastern and Western philosophy and ancient technology to her work, supporting and guiding clients from darkness to light through one-on-one retreats and trainings. Soreya taps into her human potential and infinite intelligence to be an inspiration to others to do the same. She is the author of 3 books, including Metamorphosis, which is currently being written as a TV series. Welcome to the show.
Gosh, it's so nice hearing people read about you, isn't it? It's like, oh, that's me. It's kind of, that's me.
I'm like, I have a story.
Funny aspect of me, but yeah, it's really nice. It is. Thank you for having me.
So what is it like that your book is being turned into a TV series? That's very cool.
And it's in the process of, so it's not actually a TV series yet, but it's in the right hands and going in the right direction. And in all honesty, I don't know how many years it takes for a production like this to happen, but it's an 8-part TV series based on the book. And yeah, watch this space, I suppose.
That is so exciting. But I feel to ask you, 35 years as a yogi, a training from so many people well known in our little spiritual world, what led you to down that path in the first place?
Well, I was 19 when I first, was introduced to what we call what we called personal development back then. I don't think those words are bandied around so much now. So yeah, when you arrive at a place in your life and you just kind of know, like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. This is the path for me. And I just happen to have been blessed to be so young. A lot of my colleagues have kind of come into their 40s and 50s before they've really dropped into this pathway. But for me, that was my destiny. I was found at a really young age, and I found myself in a room full of misfits and crazies that I felt completely at home with. And the particular work that we did on that very first 3-day workshop was such a huge turning point in my life that I knew that this is my path. So once you're on it, as you'll know, you can't get off it, or you can try, but life just brings you straight back on. It's like, no, this is where you're meant to be.
Or you end up doing something incredibly radical, right? And slam the door. And then the universe is like, all right, we heard you, but just wait for next lifetime.
Time off, but we're bringing you back on. I mean, there's just nothing else I'd rather be doing, or I can't imagine my life any other way. It's and in that time of parented solo and traveled and done all sorts of amazing things, but this path is ruthless.
I know, but we signed up for it, right? So who cares? It's just, if we didn't sign up for it and if we weren't choosing to incarnate at this time, then it just wouldn't be the same, right? It wouldn't feel the same. It wouldn't be the same. And I guess this is where we segue into what you're doing with your clients now, which is transformational coaching, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you call it that. I mean,
that's the word.
Yeah. Someone the other day said you're a metamorphosist. And I was like, oh, I like that. It's kind of like the journey with the therapist, but on the end. But, every client I work with is so vastly different. And you can call it coaching, or you can call it therapy, or you can call it whatever you like. But the journeys are all very, very bespoke and curated for each and every client, depending on where they're at and what they need. And it's always so different. It's so different. Like, you've got 35 years of lived experience plus all the tools. Nothing's ever the same. Whereas some practitioners have methodologies and frameworks. I'm like, I work with the universe.
I love this so much, Soreya, because when I have clients come in, they're like, "Hey, how do you work with people?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's whatever their spirit guides tell me." Like, I don't know. It's whatever I'm meant to be in that moment for them. Sometimes they need to lay down and go into energy healing. Sometimes they need to talk it out and we tap into the universe and get answers to the questions. Sometimes we need to put some things in action and put a business plan in place, channeling that through. But it's whatever they need in that moment and it's always perfect for them.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So when people say, "What do you do?" It's like, oh my gosh, come on. I always say, "Come and have the experience." And they're like, "No." Like, okay, well, I can't explain it because your mind's going to try and create some kind of form around it anyway. So,
What's been really fun playing with ChatGPT to get a label for what I do
I
because
know.
it's really interesting, right? What gets reflected back at you.
Yeah. I went into Claude, which is a more sophisticated version of ChatGPT. And even then, I was just like, I get it.
My
Well, from everything that I've ever done and all this time, like, how would you label what it is? And this is where the metamorphosis came up. And I was like, that's kind of cool. I don't know anyone that's called that. But then people would say, what's a metamorphosis? And it's a really big word. And I'd go, I'd still have to explain it.
like that's what a caterpillar goes through to become a butterfly, much like we do. That's how
Yeah.
I would explain it.
Yeah, I do. I'm like, it's like the human metamorphic experience. Yeah, but what is that?
It was really interesting because it came back with something I really liked, which was a soul activator. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I do. But then that wasn't really resonant with the people that I was getting. And what most people were coming through for was to be in touch with their intuition. But intuition has got such a woo word, like woo kind of, feeling around it rather than that's actually what we all have, so then it's like you're an inner authority guide. And I'm like, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That requires some explaining. To Joe Blogs down the street, what's an inner authority guide?
Yeah, it's learning how to listen to yourself and ignore everybody else. And this is where you can have fun with that, right? But again, it's really hard to put it in a box. And I remember channeling through when I was writing my book and it came through and it said, why are humans obsessed with putting ourselves in boxes? I was like, yeah, why? Why is that? And it's because the 3D still need a title and the 3D still need something that they can explain. Whereas other people just leave and go, wow, I felt amazing after working with Soreya. It was amazing. I can't explain it fully, but it was just life changing.
The labels, titles, and the roles.
So, what is your passion at the moment? I know sometimes we get lots of different things, but what is your passion right at this moment?
Right at this moment, it's this conversation. Right at this conversation, what I'm really passionate about is expanding the human spirit. I've always been so curious as to how some humans play their life this way and how some humans play their life this way, and that this is destiny, but everyone has a destiny that they can reach, and why some people are more obstructed to that or have the depth of self-belief that there's just no possibility that could ever happen for their life, and then the complete opposite. So I'm really passionate about watching people at the moment really rise into their absolute brightest light, and recognizing that in myself and everyone around us, and then using my work to elevate and to bring that magnetism, radiance out in other people. And I've been always doing that in a way, but it's like really amplified at the moment. So the groups I'm speaking to, much larger, like the book going out, the television series being written. It's like, it's time to just amplify all of this energy and take no, no is not an answer. It's a complete word. I get it. But like just not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my passion is getting stronger. My purpose is getting bigger. The light's getting brighter. When you come into your mid-50s, there is a point where you're just like zero tolerance for any shit. Excuse me.
It's okay. Swear away. I'll just put the rating on it.
More and more passionate about my work and who it affects and how it affects people now more than ever. So when people come up with excuses, I'm just like, no, that's not the truth. It's not the truth. Sorry, not taking it.
My favorite is why not? They're like, what? I was like, why not? Why can't you do that? I'm like, but why not? And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, why not? Like, why can't that be a possibility? Why can't that happen for you? Why can't you go start a podcast or write a book or write a song or, and do it for you. First and foremost, do it for you and then see what magic happens after that and let it go.
My mantra at the moment when someone comes up with something, I go, that's just your limited mind. What does the infinite intelligence say? And they're like, what? I go, that is your limited mind. What does the infinite intelligence inside of you say? And it just gets their mind going, what do you mean infinite intelligence? The part of you that's growing your hair at the moment, beating your heart, creating your digestive system to do this thing, moving your fingers without you thinking about it. They're like, wow. I go ponder on that.
Go to a bigger space, right? Love that. It's so interesting. I had this client last night and I said, if you could do anything in the world, what would it be? He's like, I don't know. I was like, I think you do. Anyway, and then I said, well, what do you want to do? And then we just kept talking. And he's like, oh my goodness, I love rollerblading. He goes, I actually just want to rollerblade through every country in the world. And I said, oh, there we go. Why not? If you could do anything in the world right now, you rollerblade. He goes, yeah, walking's just boring. He goes, I can't. I said, great. I said, why can't that be a thing? I said, you could, keep a blog on it. You could write do a blog, or you could, there's so much you could do with that. That would be really cool. And you'd have so much fun doing it. And he's like, yeah, I could do that. He goes, yeah, that'd be so much fun. I said, wouldn't you like to live that way every day? And he's like, yes. So sometimes people know, right? Because their infinite intelligence does know. It's just they need to help get that support to get it pulled out of them. Yeah.
And to believe in them so that they can believe in themselves as well.
Yes, 100%. I feel that that's a lot of conditioning. And like when you were commenting before about observing people who have like all these limiting kind of beliefs around themselves, it's amazing when you start to rip them away and you see where they come from, or you start to step yourself out of that, how you just look back. And I actually had to grieve. Like I had I had an entity attached that was there for a safety thing, but it actually brought doubt into everything I did. And when I removed it, we're going very woo here, but when I removed it, I actually had to mourn because I could see all the places in my life that I could have done something bigger or grander or, had that thing, but the doubt got in the way.
That's what I call the core wound. The core wound until we actually can access that or have someone support us to access that. It remains in place. That just filters through every aspect of your life. And sometimes it's subtle and sometimes it's strong. And most people go a whole lifetime without actually working at the level of the core wound, and so stay really stuck. Yeah, there's just so much suffering, unnecessary suffering. But most people just don't have the ability, the understanding, the awareness to be able to support themselves, let alone invite somebody else in to hold them. A lot of people are just taking a pill, aren't they?
Numbing. Yeah.
Or going into therapy that takes forever and forever and forever and never actually get anywhere. And yeah.
Yeah.
There's all those beautiful therapists out there, but there are much more powerful, quicker ways these days. We don't have time to muck around.
Yeah, and I remember someone saying to me, "Why would you just keep talking about your trauma and not actually choose to feel and move out of
Mm.
it?" Because
Mm.
that's what ends up happening. You end up talking about it every single time. And I remember I was in a Dr. John Demartini seminar, and he was talking about this, and he goes, "Your brain's just seeking a balance. It's looking for something to help you move out of the trauma. If you keep reliving the negative aspect of it and don't find the positive elements of it, it's never going to feel balanced, and it's just going to keep replaying again and again and filter out into your life."
Constant loop. And the mind also requires validation. So if you're sitting there with a therapist and they're validating, supporting your story with empathy, sometimes it's like, I'm going to keep telling this. I'm going to stay in it. So yeah, the old style of psychotherapy, psychology is very clever at keeping you stuck.
And it keeps you in the victim loop, right?
Yeah.
Because you're
And
looking.
the exception.
Yes,
Mm.
agreed. There is exceptional ones, but then at the same time, they can be restricted by the code of conduct that they have to operate in. So we have no malice towards therapists, but it's just, this is the framework that they've been taught and they have to operate within, which when we step more into what we do, Soreya, there is no framework, like you said at the very start. You just go, all right,
what are we doing today? And I trust I have the tools. And if not, Spirit's going to give them to me.
And giving your client a hug at the end of the session.
Yes,
Like
yes.
being relatable and being close and connected and following up with people because we genuinely care. It's not because we're following a career path or, I mean, I have qualifications, don't get me wrong. I have many, many, many qualifications. Um, but no one's ever asked me for a certificate. I don't have them up on the wall. There's no letters after them. That like it just doesn't feel important. What feels important is when somebody is sitting in front of you that your genuine heart is open to support that person in whatever they need for however long. They're not on the clock. You know, it's not all sessions over now. It's hold on a minute. There's something else here. Not cutting them off mid emotional release or whatever it might be.
Biggest thing I learned last year was not to think of it as an hourly rate, but a session rate.
Mm.
Like it's just however long the work needs to happen. And I have a contract too where for 2 weeks afterwards, I'll keep getting downloads or things to help them integrate.
Mm.
And so I say to them, you might hear from me in the next 2 weeks. I might be a bit annoying, but it's just to help you anchor things in. But please, at the same time, reach out to me. It's not like I'm kicking you out the door, exactly like you said. I do care and I want to know that you're okay, even outside this session, because sometimes the integration can be the messy part too, especially when you've stepped into a new version of you.
Yeah, 100%. We're on the same page, Catherine.
I know. And I love these conversations. It's like, yeah, exactly. They're telling me to ask you about manifestation. So I'm just going to ask you. Tell me about manifestation.
For me, it's an old fashioned word. It's something that, you know, like many, 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 many years ago when I was training with Brandon Bays, we did the manifestation retreats. And it just feels kind of like an old technology now. For me now, it's all about magnetism. Manifestation feels like it's something that we are doing to get something, to bring something material into our world. I want to manifest a new relationship, manifest a beautiful whatever, fill in the blank. Whereas magnetism is you are creating more or less dross in the magnetic field around us, more spaciousness, more radiance, more vitality, you know, which creates then less heaviness and what have you. And when you have a magnetism about you, you don't have to think about writing down what you want to manifest. You don't have to do all the processes. You just automatically magnetize the very thing to you that the divine or the universe wants for you to have. You don't even really need to think about it. And that's where that, you know, that experience of, oh my God, I couldn't have written my life in this way. If someone had said to me, I would be doing this, you know, a year ago, I would have been like, no way. You know, that's the divine plan. That's being a magnetic being. And women, especially like that, you know, the heart field around us is so incredibly vast that when we are in our magnetism, it's just incredible what shows up. So I work very, very strongly every day, or intentionally, I should say, to keep my magnetic field really clear so that only love and abundance and prosperity and all these beautiful things can be magnetized towards me and vice versa. Like, who are the people out there that need my light? So keeping that field really clear. So yeah, manifestation. When people talk about manifestation now, I'm like, that's so 1980s.
Like, get with the program. We've updated our frequency and dimensions here.
I mean, people say, you're such an amazing manifester. And I'm like, I am because I'm magnetic. I'm literally drawing, you know, the things, the people, the places, the experiences to me. And
Yeah.
there's not what I have to do. Really.
And I love that reframe because it's almost like taking your power back, right? Because when you're manifesting, you're putting it out there and hoping it comes to you. Whereas when you're being magnetic, you're attracting it to you and you know it's your power that's pulling it in.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when The Secret came out and whenever that was, you know, everyone was like, wow, it's amazing. But I remember watching it and going, they've forgotten a really fundamental piece. And that is like what to actually do in the body of the magnetic field in order to have these things come into the field that are already there waiting for the match. But I noticed recently that same group, like Joe Dispenza and Group Braden, and can't remember who the others are, Lisa Nichols, they've just put out another movie called Frequency. So of course, there's the evolution, right? But I think, God, I've been working with this stuff for years. Like, How are they so behind?
I guess it's like the same with science, right? Like we've been grounding and walking around barefoot and hugging trees because we know it helps regulate our nervous system.
Yeah.
But now that science is showing that grounding, aka they call it earthing, works, it helps regulate you because you are an electromagnetic being. All of a sudden, it's okay. So
Because mainstream need to have that anchor, don't they? They need validation
yeah.
or verification.
Yes. But
Really?
yeah, I understand now why I asked you that question because they're just saying ask her about it. And I'm like, no, that makes perfect sense. And I feel too, I had someone on the guest a few shows ago and she was talking about, reclaiming your sovereignty because, when you realize how powerful you really are and how much you can create in your life. And I know that's like the whole manifesting thing, but you can magnetize things when you are in alignment, especially when you're in alignment with your vision and your dreams. And I want to put the caveat there because sometimes we try and magnetize things, but the universe knows that we shouldn't magnetize those things and they don't come. And then we'll go, this isn't fair. Why isn't this happening? Rather than maybe there's something bigger at play and something better is coming along.
Get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I've got something so much better for you.
Yeah. 100%. So even for me, like I had this vision of co-creating like a spirit school on earth, essentially. But I was like, am I still meant to be doing this? And then I got this phone call to catch up with this person and I just heard, yes, go. I was like, okay. And then she's there going, so I've got this vision of bringing this school to earth. And I just started laughing and I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. And she's like, oh. So I was like, thank you, spirit, reinforcement. And again, magnetize that person because I was asking for that feedback and I was asking for more alignment to pull them into my field. So it does happen. Or, you're like, oh, is this the right thing I'm meant to be doing? Can I see a sign or something? And then the rest of the day it's repeating numbers or, white feathers or however it shows up for you.
For me, it's what lights me up and what brings me alive. Like had lunch with a girlfriend the other day, and we were talking about the work that we're doing, and then all of a sudden I talked about this project that I'm working on about a stage show and bringing metamorphosis to the big stage, and I was like, "Da-da-da-da," and she goes, "You realize how much this lights you up? Like this is what you have to do." And I'm like, "Oh yeah," and I get so excited. And then something came through today with a sort of an old way of working. And I was writing the email to this person, and I was going, I don't want to do this. I do. If I press that send button, I'm going to regret it. I'm going to do the thing that it just made me feel heavy in my body. So I'm like, what brings lightness and expansion in our body is what we move towards.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is I actually had this experience a few weeks ago. I love that you brought this up. And there was this opportunity I got presented with. And on paper, it was everything I was asking for. And my body didn't do the hell yes. So when it's a hell yes for me, I get the goosebumps. I get that full visceral reaction. Like you said, you feel light, you're excited. I wasn't getting that and I couldn't figure out why. And so I said, look, I just have to sit with it. Can I get back to you within 24 hours? Okay. Yeah, not a problem. And so I sat with it and I'm like, is it about the investment? And I was like, no, it's something deeper. And then I went, actually, I don't want to do that anymore. I want this project to finish up so I can have a break from it. And if I commit to this, then I'm not going to have that flexibility to step back and I need to do that. And I just cried because I was like, oh my goodness, it makes so much sense. So I wrote to the person, I said, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. But I sat with it and actually I wanted to finish up this project. And if I commit to you, then I can't do that. And then I didn't hear anything. And I was like, thank you. Your silence means everything. So I appreciate that as well.
And well, it's the desperate mind that latches on to an old form or an old identity. And it takes a lot of trust to stay with that infinite nature of the self that is going to propel us forward and open us into the possibilities that life has for us, instead of going, I didn't get that thing, so I'm going to fall back into what I know and what is comfortable rather than just being a little patient.
Yeah. Divine timing and me are not friends, if I'm honest, Soreya.
I'm a little like that too. It's like, I want it now.
Stop showing me my future timelines and then I have to wait.
Yes. So true, isn't it? When is it going to happen in our time? Like there is no linear time in terms of the universe. Friday 14th of May, 2028. Like, what is that?
My favorite is they're like, soon. I'm like, okay, like this week, next month, what's soon? And they go, soon. And I guess the human part of us wants to cling on to those timelines, right? I have so many people that I work with. And like, but when will that happen? I said, look, about 3 to 6 months. I can't give you an exact timeline because it's not just you. I said, there's all these other people involved and they have to step into where they are. And I said, so I can give you a timeline, but then you're going to maybe miss what happens because you're too busy holding on to the timeline because it could be quicker, it could be slower, especially if people are like, where's this person going to come into my life? Or when's this business opportunity going to come in? Or when is that going to be, now we can say magnetized to me. But at the same time, it's like, well, the more you work on yourself and stay open, the more likely it is to happen. But if you're holding on to that timeline, it has to happen within 3 to 6 months, then you're actually conditioning it. And then if it doesn't happen in that time frame, you're going to give up on it rather than just being open and allowing it to keep calling it in. Like you said, keep trying to magnetize, well, not trying, but keep magnetizing what you want to bring into your field.
And who are we as other humans to tell somebody else when something specific is going to happen as well?
Yeah.
Many times, and I'm like, well, I'm giving my power away here.
Yeah. And I found the more that I rely on other people's input onto when something's going to occur, the less likely it is going to occur. So sometimes I'm like, just let me know it's going to happen or not going to happen and just leave out the other bits so I can hold on to that. It is going to happen and I can, keep pulling it in.
Yeah, absolutely. The universe is going to do that for us anyway when we tune in.
And when we're in flow. And like you said, no is not an answer. As long as it's aligned. We'll put the caveat there.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Sometimes it definitely needs to be a no because you were so far down the wrong path. Something needs to slam you back into the right section. And as we start to finish our time together, Soreya, I asked the guests that come on the show, if you could heal or change something in the world, what would it be?
I would just love so much for everybody to be kind to each other. That's the one thing that really breaks my heart when I experience the lack of human kindness, whether it's bullying online or someone speaking horribly to another person, all the things that we hear. It's just the wars. I mean, let's go. It's like, imagine if every day everybody woke up and chose to be kind to themselves, whatever that looked like, and then kind to one other person, like the difference that would make. Like, that's my greatest prayer. And I often, you'll find me saying that more than anything. If someone is gossiping about someone or saying something nasty about themselves, I'll say, what would kindness say? What would kindness do right now? Or what would love say? What would love do? And it really shocks people out of their nasty little world, or I'll say, that's not very kind. And they'll be like, and your response to me saying that's not kind either.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gets me like, please just be kind to one another.
I was in Bunnings, which I'm sure you have them in New Zealand, in the hardware store. If you're listening from America, I don't know what the equivalent would be. But anyway, and I smiled at someone because I like smiling at people because you never know, right? It's like such a simple act of kindness. And she actually came up to me, Soreya, and she said, thank you for smiling at me so honestly. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to do with this part of the interaction because that's never happened before. And I said, you're welcome. I said, I genuinely just smile at people and hope it warms them up. And she's like, oh, she goes, well, you keep doing that because it brightened my day. And I was like, thank you. But so beautiful. She even came up and gave that feedback. But I guess this is where, kindness can be, it doesn't cost you anything. A smile doesn't cost you anything. And sometimes even when you're feeling sad, still being kind in that moment can change your energy as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's what I'd like to change in the world. And if I can make those little changes in my everyday life, then that's making a difference.
100%. And if people want to come and find you, Soreya, or work with you, or find your book before it becomes a TV series, because we know it's going to happen, right?
Divine timing.
Exactly. Divine timing. Where can they go?
SoreyaJames.com.
Easy.
Available there. Book a consultation. I love just chatting to people. 15-minute chat with a woman today, and she's like, it's like I want to do everything with you. And I said, why don't you just start small and order the the book's a digital copy in a digital version because it's a journey that I take people on with music and breathwork and meditations. And like, it's a real, beautiful experience. And you can't get that quite out of a printed version of what I've created. So I said, just do that. And next minute she's purchasing it and she's like, oh my God, I'm already halfway through the first chapter and it's amazing. And it's like just those little, it doesn't have to be like work with me for a year because I only work with 3 clients a year, but these little touch points.
And I feel too, thank you for just saying, if you're curious, that's when you go look, right? If you're curious about it, go have a peek and just see. You might download the book, or you might just join the newsletter, or you might do something, because you never know. Just follow that little curiosity, because that is you magnetizing something to you.
When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
That is beautiful. And I'll make sure to put all those details in the show notes so people can find you. And if anyone is listening and you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe, or go check out Soreya's work, get her book. Be curious about how you can reclaim the power in your life and magnetize what you want. So thank you, Soreya, for this conversation. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you. It's wonderful. Wonderful.
Hey, beautiful souls. I wanted to have a chat with you about a really amazing cacao that I drink to help me get in ceremony, to help me ground, but also just because it tastes freaking good. So if you're curious and want to know about drinking something other than coffee or your standard tea, why not check out Creation Cacao? I love this with a bit of honey and cinnamon sprinkled in and just letting it brew and having that whole intention as you create this cup. So if you're curious about want to know more, check out the link in the show notes and in the bio and enjoy your cup of cacao.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.